Hello dear students, good evening. Welcome to BAJIRAO IAS Academy. Today is 26th April 2024 and we have a few important news articles for today's discussion. So first important news article is with respect to, we will understand what exactly is this green credit program. So we very often hear about the carbon credit program, but recently the government of India has been planning to promote the green credit program as a means of sustainable environmental development. Secondly, we will also understand the recent victory of Maldives People's National Congress. So this particular party, headed by Mohammad Moiju, he is the current president of Maldives. So this particular victory of Mohammad Moiju in the parliament, how it will impact India-Maldives relations going ahead. And thirdly, we will also understand the fast moving consumer goods and their false advertisements, misleading advertisements, and Supreme Court taking a serious note of the issue of Patanjali issuing such fake and false advertisements. And we will also understand the linkages between the junk food which is being manufactured by the fast moving consumer goods and the non-communicable diseases in India. And we will also have another important news article, that is with respect to National Judicial Appointments Commission and the collegium system of appointment of the judges. Now please understand, the Supreme Court earlier in 2015 has declared the National Judicial Appointments Commission as unconstitutional. So this National Judicial Appointments Commission was set up by the 99th constitutional amendment by the Parliament. However, subsequently the Supreme Court has declared this National Judicial Appointments Commission as unconstitutional, and the collegium system is what is being followed for the appointment of and transfer of judges to the higher judiciary. So these are some of the important news articles that we are going to discuss in this lecture, and before discussing them, let's try to solve yesterday's practice question. The question is, in India, opium poppy cultivation is prohibited except under a license issued by the which of the following organizations? Please understand, the opium poppy is actually a plant which is illegally cultivated for the purpose of drug trafficking, or it can be used as a drug. So therefore the correct answer for this question is Central Bureau of Narcotics. So before cultivating the opium poppy crop, the approval from the Central Bureau of Narcotics is very important. So please understand the context why this question is being asked. The police in Odisha recently have discovered the illegal poppy farms deep within the Simlipal Tiger Reserve. So this Simlipal Tiger Reserve is located in the state of Odisha, and the police personnel have identified the illegal cultivation of the poppy plants. And in fact, the police have burnt around 1,54,980 poppy plants worth of approximately 3 crore. So this is the context. Based on this context, the question was asked. Now please understand briefly about the poppy plant as well. So these poppy plants are actually the flowering plants, and they are very often known for their vibrant colors. And in fact, they also belong to a family called Papaveraceae family. And opium, in fact, why it is a concern? It is a concern because it is a potent narcotic with a lot of medical properties. So if this particular plant is used for the medicinal purposes, that would be absolutely fine. But illegal cultivation of this particular opium plant as a narcotic drug would have a lot of negative implications, and because of that reason the approval from the Narcotics Control Bureau is required before cultivation of opium plant, since it has a lot of medicinal properties. So the more medicinal properties which are being associated with the poppy plant are morphine. So it produces a morphine, and morphine has a medicinal value. And in fact, these poppies also yield the edible seeds. edible seeds which can be consumed, right? So the opium poppy cultivation is regulated in India, and it can be cultivated only in such areas or such tracts which are being notified by the government. Since it has a medicinal properties or medicinal values, the government can regulate the cultivation of opium poppy. However, if in any region, if it is cultivated legally, then that would be cultivated with the proper notification of the government. Now, if you can understand the status of opium plant cultivation across the country, so this opium plant tracts are located in 3 states. As of now, these are confined to 3 states. The states are Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh. And the regions where the opium plant is being cultivated include Mandsaur district of Madhya Pradesh, and then Chittorgarh and Jalawar districts of Rajasthan, and these 2 states alone contribute to the 80% of the total legal cultivation of this opium poppy plant. This is primarily for the purposes of industry and the medicinal properties. Now, in fact, if you look at the legislative sanction against the cultivation of opium poppy is traced back to the National Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act 1985. So this Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act 1985 actually prohibit the consumption and cultivation of these plants. So in India, opium plant cultivation is prohibited under Section 8 of the Narcotic Drugs. So remember this, Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act 1985. And except the license that is being issued by the Central Bureau of Narcotics under Rule 8 of the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Rules of 1985. So this is all about the opium poppy plant. And today's practice question for prelims is: the State of World Report 2024 is published by which of the following organizations? See, this is a very simple question, so please answer this question in the comment section. So the options are World Economic Forum, United Nations Population Fund, World Bank Group and International Monetary Fund. So please understand this question and also answer this question in the comment section. I'll be giving you the correct answer in the next lecture. So the first editorial discussion that we are going to start is about the green credit program. So the editorial that was given in the Hindu newspaper is about, can green credits benefit India's forests? So that is what actually is given. Now if I can tell you, there are different concepts such as carbon credit program and the green credit program. Now if you can briefly talk about the carbon credit program, it actually deals with the trade in carbon. For example, if there are 2 industries, industry A and industry B, and industry A has actually energy intensive, and at the same time it has also been releasing a lot of CO2 into the atmosphere, and on the other hand industry B has actually invested in the energy efficiency technologies, and it has reduced the release of CO2, and it has also been using the renewable energy technologies. So therefore, in order to incentivize company B, there will be carbon credit which is being provided to the company B. So therefore, this carbon credit can be sold in the external market, and since company A has exceeded its carbon targets, then company A must purchase these carbon credits from the company B. However, with respect to the green credit program, for example, imagine an NGO or a community or a group of people in a village. So they have started planting trees in a patch of land, and in order to recognize their efforts, they will also be provided one green credit. And this green credit can be monetized, and at the same time the green credit has been incentivizing the individuals for their positive contribution for the development of environment, and this is one way of ensuring sustainable development where the communities have been actively engaged in the conservation and protection of the natural forests. So please understand, in fact, these forests are known as the natural sink of the carbon dioxide because they store carbon within different parts of these plants. So therefore they can absorb the excess carbon from the atmosphere, thereby reducing the levels of carbon and also reducing the global warming in the atmosphere. So because of that reason, several countries have been coming up with this green credit program. So few days back we have also discussed Australia's green credit program and the flaws that are being involved in this green credit program. So what is the context of this particular editorial? So the context is that the green credit program that is being announced by the government of India, particularly the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change in October 2023, is actually a market-based mechanism. Now when I say market-based mechanism, so now in order to recognize or incentivize the efforts of the community and NGOs, the carbon credits would be provided. And these carbon credits would be sold and purchased in the market, and because of that reason it is said that they are market based mechanism. So in this green credit program, individuals and companies, they actually claim incentives called these green credits for their contribution to environment and the ecological restoration. So this is the overall idea of the green credit program that the government of India has launched in 2023 October. Now, so we will understand the green credits in a more broad manner. So this is actually an innovative market-based mechanism, and this market-based mechanism actually incentivizes the voluntary environmental actions of different environmental groups, communities, NGOs. Even if I can tell you that imagine a community in a village called A, and this particular community has planted trees in a patch of land, and that could have a potential to turn or transform into a large scale forest area. So in this context, in order to incentivize the efforts of village A in planting trees, they will be provided a green credit by the government, and this green credit can be sold and purchased in the market. For example, now imagine that a company called B, and it has it has surpassed or exceeded its environmental targets, then it must require the green credit in order to substantiate their existing environmental efforts. They require the green credits. So therefore the companies purchase green credits from the village A or a community A. So this is how the green credits are actually incentivizing the communities and the NGOs, villagers, and any other group of people who have been positively contributing for the development of environment. Now in this context, please understand, when a group of people or community have actually planted trees, so that could ensure the livelihood security of those people in the future also, and at the same time it also facilitate the sustainable development in those areas. So because of that reason, we can say that it has a lot of positive implications. And in fact, please understand, the voluntary environmental actions are being incentivized as part of the green credit program. Now, as part of the green credit programs, there were multiple groups of people who can be involved in this. So they include individuals, communities, private sector industries, and other companies. They can be part of this green credit program and they can earn these green credits. And in fact, please understand in this, if you can look at this image, you can clearly see that these green credits will be available to individuals, entities who are engaged in the environmental positive outcomes. And in fact, these green credits will be traded or they are actually market mechanisms, and they actually provided as incentives for these communities, companies, and also the individuals. And these green credits will be made available for trading on the domestic market platforms also. So they can be traded in the domestic market platform also. So in fact, we can say that this is one of the innovative approaches to promote the environmental conservation and environmental protection. Now, if you can talk about this particular green credit program, so we must incentivize the green action. So when we are able to incentivize those green actions, so that could certainly ensure more and more people take part in the positive environmental conservation, environmental promotion, and restoration. And that could further result in a sustainable action, because understand, this is like a multiplier effect, and it is also like a chain effect. So one individual is benefiting from these green credits, then the other individual would also take part in the green credit program. And in fact, it also creates a system where the green action would result in a positive environmental gains for us. So please understand, as part of the nationally determined contributions, we also wanted to reduce our existing carbon dioxide in the atmosphere through the plantation of trees, or promoting afforestation. So that could also absorb the excess carbon in the atmosphere, and that could positively help India meet its environmental targets. And in fact, please understand, this is a market-based incentive or a market-based mechanism, and there are 6 to 7 sectors which are being covered as part of the green credit program. Now, if I can tell you the sectors, different sectors, for example, plantation of trees or afforestation is a one sector, and apart from that, waste management would be another sector, and after that, the renewable energies would be another sector. So in this way, in this green credit program, there involves 6 to 7 different sectors. So they include forest and waste management also. And the government has issued certain guidelines with respect to these green credit programs, and these guidelines actually aim to incentivize the restoration of the degraded forest land. So please understand, the forest areas have been facing the threat of degradation, and they are being exploited, and fragmentation has also been taking place at a faster pace. So why forest areas have been degrading at a faster pace? So because of multiple reasons. So one such reason would be infrastructure development, and second reason would be agriculture expansion, clearing forest lands for agriculture purpose, and then illegal encroachment into these forest areas that we have already discussed about the Pobitora National Park. And after that, the illegal mining has also been contributing to the degradation of existing ecosystems, and then excessive contamination and pollution of those natural ecosystems. All these factors have been leading to the degradation of existing forest land. And a forest can degrade for a variety of reasons, all those reasons that we have discussed. So among all those reasons, we can categorize them into the natural reasons and man-made reasons. So if I can tell you one natural reason for the degradation of the natural forest, floods would be one reason. So this is a natural reason of degradation of forests. And after that, the wildfires could also be another reason for the degradation of forest lands. So in fact, floods and wildfires are natural reasons for the degradation of forest lands. However, in this context, afforestation has to be promoted, because afforestation in fact has a lot of positive benefits, and it can increase the degraded forest cover. So afforestation can be credited by incentivizing the individuals who are involved in afforestation by providing them the green credits by the government, because understand, these green credits are market tradable. And after that, India has always promoted the plantation or afforestation drive. Now, if you look at the certain tribes in central India, so they actually take up a plantation every year. once in a month in every year they usually take up the plantation of different trees. So because of that reason we can say that India traditionally has this tradition of promoting plantation and afforestation. But very often the green credit program, launching such a program is very good, but in green credit program it should not promote the monoculture practices. We should not plant a single type of trees in that huge forest tract land, so that could not support the biodiversity of an area. So this is one such concern that is being associated with this green credit program. Now if I can tell you that okay, the government can give green credits to recognize the positive contribution of the people for the purpose of afforestation. Now as part of the afforestation drive, what people do, so people will start planting the same trees throughout the forest tract or throughout the land. So therefore that could promote the monocultural practices in several places. So the monoculture would not be considered as a good practice for the biodiversity protection and conservation. So therefore green credit program must avoid these monocultural practices, and it should not incentivize these monoculture plantation because it has a larger harm to the existing biodiversity and environment, and it could also threaten the endemic plant and animal species in those regions and would have the larger consequences on the existing plant and animal species. So after that, the government has also issued guidelines for this green credit program. However, it requires actually states to identify the degraded forest lands within their jurisdictions. Now when the state governments have been involved in identifying the degraded forest lands, then that could promote the targeted cultivation or plantation or afforestation drives, and that could benefit the state and also the environment as well. So the forest is actually not just a tree. So forest does not involve trees alone. So forest actually involves a wide variety of flora and fauna. So therefore we must recognize this fact, and in fact we have more than 200 different types of forests. So these different types of forests across different biogeographical locations of India. And if you can talk about the central Indian landscape and whole of Deccan Peninsula, Leh and Ladakh, so they are not dominated by trees alone, and there are bushes and many other things which are part of the forest. So therefore we must diversify the forests. We should not promote the monocultural practices because they could threaten the existing biodiversity of an area. So for regeneration we don't have to do any major intervention. So there is no such major intervention is required. Rather, we just have to protect the area from the disturbances. So there are number of disturbances that the area faces, and we must protect the area from those disturbances. And within 10 to 15 years, we can see the restoration of the wealth of those forests, and that could ultimately support the biodiversity, and it will also benefit the local communities as well. And in fact, if we can talk about specifically whom will get these green credits, growing 10,000 trees in a particular patch of land earns you 1 carbon credit per tree. So 1 carbon credit will be provided to you for planting 1,000 trees, 1 per each. And in fact, it would incentivize the biodiversity conservation of endemic forests, and it will also promote the local species which have been facing the threats from the invasive alien species which are introduced into the different ecosystem either intentionally or unintentionally. So in the carbon market, there are many different kinds of projects. Okay, so we have talked about the green credit program. Now green credit program actually involves 6 to 7 different sectors. So they include forest conservation, forest management and waste management. On the other hand, when we talk about these carbon credits, so these carbon credits actually involves projects like solar project, wind project and cook stove project and deforestation project. And in fact, they save 1 unit of carbon and it can be measured as well. But on the other hand, in green credits, one biodiversity credit would be given, and even one water conservation credit would also be given. So these are different types of carbon credits and green credits that are being given to individual to recognize the positive contribution towards the environment. Now, what should be the way forward here? So the way forward here is that we should not compromise our industrial growth, economic growth and economic development. So that is very, very important and primary for us, because we have a huge demographic dividend and we should grow at least 8% per annum or year on year. So that is how we can achieve our ambitious goals and targets with respect to our economy. However, we must emphasize us on balanced development, where the balanced development would prioritize both environmental protection, environmental conservation, as well as economic growth and development. So this is all about the green credit program. So the next article is with respect to the India-Maldives relations. And recently understand that after the new regime in Maldives, the ties between India and Maldives have seemingly deteriorated. So in fact, the present president of Maldives, whose name is actually Mohammad Moiju, he ran a campaign when he was in opposition. That campaign was India Out campaign. So after this India Out campaign, he won the elections and he became the prime minister, he became the president of Maldives, and after that he severed ties with the India. And in fact, some of the Maldivian ministers have also made derogatory remarks against our Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So in this backdrop, or in this context, the ties between India and Maldives have been further lead to a new low. However, one recent development in Maldives is that the People's National Congress of Maldives, so which is headed by the current president of Maldives, so that is Mohammad Moiju's party, has actually won a huge mandate, or it has won a huge majority. So therefore, how it could further consolidate the Mohammad Moiju's regime in Maldives, which is not actually good news for India. So because Mohammad Moiju has been seeking a close cooperation with countries like Turkey and China, with which India do not have a positive relations. On the other hand, Mohammad Moiju as of now has not paid any official visit to India also. So in fact, earlier Maldives used to maintain India first stance, but now they seemingly started diversifying their existing bilateral relations with different other countries. Now India first is not the priority of the Mohammad Moiju's government, but on the other hand, India has this neighborhood first policy, where under this policy the government has been assisting all the neighboring countries like an elder brother and not like a big brother. So understand the context of this particular editorial. So the context is that the recent parliamentary elections that took place in Maldives have actually resulted in a significant victory for President Mohammad Moiju's party. So that is People's National Congress of Maldives, and it has granted a super majority in the People's Majlis in Maldives. So People's Majlis is like a parliament, okay? So in this People's Majlis, the Mohammad Moiju's party has got a super majority. Now how it could further strengthen his position in Maldives? So we will understand that what are the implications of this People's National Congress party's victory in the People's Majlis of Maldives. So first and foremost, it could significantly enhance the legislative powers of Mohammad Moiju's party, and the PNC's overwhelming majority in the parliamentary elections actually results in passage of new laws, and even they potentially change the constitution by bringing new constitutional amendments. And in fact, it is also believed that it could further strengthen president's hold in Maldives. So that could be a bad news for India, because Mohammad Moiju is seemingly maintaining a distancing from India first policy of Maldives. And in fact, he could further consolidate power in Maldives. So the government is in spotlight for how he wields a near absolute power, because he is the president, and in fact in a parliament also, that is People's Majlis also, he had a huge majority. So therefore it is very often associated with the near absolute majority for the Mohammad Moiju. And in fact, Maldives also previously had this authoritarian or absolutist rule. Now how this majority could shape Maldives future and how it could shape Maldive-India relations have to be seen. And in fact, this new government under Mohammad Moiju has also maintained a different foreign policy stance. So that is, there is a clear shift in their foreign policy that is being evident from the fact that Mohammad Moiju has actually focusing on diversifying Maldives relations with the other countries such as UAE, Turkey and China. So earlier it was not the case, but now they have been diversifying their diplomatic ties with number of countries, and it has been suggesting a strategic realignment of Maldives with different other partners, in contrary to depending on one country previously. So this is a shift that has been observed in current Maldivian foreign policy. So after that, this present election, a further consolidation of Mohammad Moiju's regime in Maldives, also offers certain opportunities along with the challenges as well. Now what are the opportunities before India? So that is what we will understand briefly. So there are certain opportunities also. First and foremost, a diplomatic outreach towards Maldives would good, and that could further strengthen and that could further stabilize the India-Maldive relations. So in fact, recently India has also supplied essentials to Maldives. See, we have essentially built soft power in countries like Maldives and Sri Lanka. So therefore we must retain our soft power in those countries, and we must secure investments in those countries, and we should compete with our regional rivals with respect to investment as well as the strategic interests that are being involved in these countries, because strategically Maldives has been located in a very important position in the Indo-Pacific region, and that is very important to counter Chinese presence, growing Chinese presence in this Indo-Pacific region. So as part of this, India has also been developing a strategic naval base or a strategic military base in Lakshadweep as well. So after that, we must focus on building a mutual trust between India and Maldives to repair the existing damaged or fragmented bilateral relations. And in fact, the current president Mohammad Moiju has actually focused on prioritizing Maldives' interests over the alignment with specific countries, has actually underscores the importance that he has been giving for mutual trust and cooperation, and India should work on this front as well to maintain best possible relations with the Maldives. And after that, we must also take into consideration the economic and strategic interests also, because now Maldives has been facing major economic challenges, and in this a particular context, Maldives has also been having a huge debt with respect to China. So however, India as part of its neighborhood first policy can assist Maldives, whether supplying essentials, whether providing the financial assistance that could further strengthen and further consolidate India's soft power, and that could fuel the current government to maintain the best possible relations with India, and that could strategically benefit India in the long time. So this is what the author has been discussing about the India and Maldivian relations. You may get a mains question on this India-Maldive relations. So the next important news article is with respect to the National Judicial Appointments Commission versus the collegium system. So as I have already told you that the collegium system provides for the appointment of the judges by the judges alone. So here the judges themselves appoint the judges, that is the collegium system. But on the other hand, the National Judicial Appointments Commission was an act which is being passed by the Parliament in the year 2014. The Supreme Court has declared the National Judicial Appointments Commission for the appointment of judges as unconstitutional because it has been violating the basic structure of the Constitution, especially or particularly the independence of the judiciary. Now, in this context, recently a petition was filed in the Supreme Court to declare collegium, or to end the collegium system, which is appointment of the judges by the judges, and at the same time revive this National Judicial Appointments Commission. However, the Supreme Court's registry on April 24 refused to receive a writ petition. So this particular writ petition has been seeking the abolition of the collegium system. So that is the present system which is being practiced for the appointment of the judges. The judges' appointment and transfers are being made by the judges themselves, and revive the National Judicial Appointments Commission, which was earlier declared by the Supreme Court as unconstitutional. So understand this collegium system briefly. So in the system appointment of judges, so the collegium will actually recommend names of the candidates to the central government. Okay, so there will be Chief Justice of India. So Chief Justice of India, and he will be assisted by 4 other judges. So that is the collegium of the highest level. So this collegium actually recommend names for the appointment as a judges of the Supreme Court or judges of the High Court to the President, and accordingly the President would nominate them as the judges of the Supreme Court and High Courts. Okay, so in the system of collegium, the appointment of judges, the collegium will actually recommend names of the candidates to the central government, and also the central government will send names of the proposed candidates for the consultation. Okay, so what is this National Judicial Appointments Commission? National Judicial Appointment Commission. So this National Judicial Appointments Commission was actually a body that proposed to make the appointment to the Chief Justices, Supreme Court judges, High Court judges, and to replace the existing collegium system, which is the judges which are being appointed by the judges themselves, and at the same time it does not lack any statutory backing and also the constitutional backing, and because of that reason the NJAC wanted to replace the collegium system. However, this National Judicial Appointments Commission was established as per the 99th Constitutional Amendment Act 2014. Okay, so why it is in news? It is in news because recently a writ petition was filed in the Supreme Court, but even though the petition has not reached to any bench, whether single bench, division bench or constitutional bench, the registrar himself or herself actually refused to accept the writ petition, because the registrar has said that the matter has already been decided by the Constitution Bench of the Supreme Court in Advocates on Records Association and ANR versus Union of India case. So please remember this case. So this is a very important case, Advocates on Record Association and ANR versus Union of India case. So in this particular case, the Supreme Court has declared National Judicial Appointments Commission as unconstitutional and void because it has been violating the basic structure doctrine of the Indian Constitution that is given in the Keshwananda Bharati judgment. Why? Because this particular National Judicial Appointments Commission has actually violating the judicial independence or the independence of the judiciary, and because of that reason the Supreme Court has declared the National Judicial Appointments Commission as unconstitutional. And in fact, the registrar has also noted that even a review petition that was filed in 2018 against the National Judicial Appointments Commission verdict was actually dismissed by the Constitution Bench. However, on what basis the registrar of the Supreme Court can refuse such a petition? So it is actually mandated by Order 15 Rule 5 of the Supreme Court Rules 2023. So this particular rules of 2023 have been mandating that the registrar may refuse to receive any petition on the ground that it discloses no reasonable cause, or it is a frivolous petition, or it contains the scandalous matter. So, but the petitioner may, within the 15 days after the rejection of this petition by the registrar, can appeal by way of motion from such refusal to the court. So he can appeal before the court within 15 days even after the registrar refused as part of Order 15 Rule 5 of the Supreme Court Rules 2013. Now we'll briefly understand the difference between the collegium system and the National Judicial Appointments Commission also. So this collegium system is actually based on the 3 judges case. In 1993 there was a 3 judges cases, and in this 3 judges case the Supreme Court has established this collegium system. So please understand, this collegium system does not have any statutory backing and also the constitutional backing. So under this collegium system, the appointment of judges are being made by the Chief Justice of India and the 4 most senior judges of the Supreme Court, and in fact it has no constitutional backing. And the Constitution Article 124 actually says that the appointments to the higher judiciary, both the Supreme Court and High Court, should be made by the President in consultation with the judges as President may deem necessary. So this is what the Article 124 of the Indian Constitution says. However, a lot of people or a lot of experts have been criticizing the mechanism of collegium system because it has been violating or it has involves a lot of conflict of interest, and judges appointing judges would weaken the integrity of the judiciary, and it will also weaken the efficiency of the judiciary, because the collegium system is one such system which is now responsible for the poor representation of women in higher judiciary, and there is also poor representation from the backward sections of the society. Now what is this National Judicial Appointments Commission? So in order to replace the collegium system, the National Judicial Appointments Commission was brought by 99th Constitutional Amendment by the Indian Parliament. So the National Judicial Appointments Commission is actually a body, so that is created to end a 2-decade-old Supreme Court collegium system of judges appointing judges. And in fact it was passed by Lok Sabha on August 13, 2014, and it was also passed by Rajya Sabha a day later. However, the National Judicial Appointments Commission actually consists of 6 people. They include Chief Justice of India and 2 senior-most judges of the Supreme Court and a law minister and 2 eminent persons who are being appointed by the government. However, the critics actually say that judges in National Judicial Appointments Commission will need support of others to push a name through for the appointment or for the transfer to the higher judiciary. And in fact, the judges actually fear, or judiciary actually fear, that it will jeopardize the judicial independence, and which is being compromised if the National Judicial Appointments Commission is being pushed forward. And in fact, it would also threaten the integrity of the judiciary as well. So the next important news article is with respect to the fast moving consumer goods, and also how they are like a junk food, and how they are spreading the non-communicable diseases or lifestyle diseases among the people, and how the industries which are engaged in fast moving consumer goods have issuing the false and misleading advertisements, and the government's inaction with respect to the false and misleading advertisements. So what should be the way forward? So we will try and understand in this article. So in fact, recently a case was filed against the Patanjali Ayurveda, and in fact this particular case has also filed against the leaders of Patanjali Ayurveda, include Acharya Balakrishna and Baba Ramdev. And the Supreme Court has actually observed on April 23, in the context of government having taken any action against the company for false or misleading advertisements touting untested pseudoscientific cures for the COVID-19 and at the same time diabetes and other conditions. So these industries have been publishing the misleading advertisements, fake and false advertisements to mislead the people to purchase their products. So in fact, they have a huge bearing on the public health, and because of that reason, the Supreme Court has taken up this matter. Now, what is this fast moving consumer goods? FMCG actually means the fast moving consumer goods, and they are actually sold too quickly and also relatively cheaper. And some examples of these fast moving consumer goods include packaged foods, beverages, toiletries, cosmetics, cleaning supplies and low cost households. All these things comes under the definition of the fast moving consumer goods. Now if we can keep aside this Baba Ramdev Ayurved issue, so we have previously also discussed the Nestle India baby food has higher sugar content compared to several other European countries, and in fact the World Health Organization has mandated that higher sugar content in baby foods actually leads to the negative developmental impacts, negative growth impacts among the children. However, this is also a concern, and the baby formula Nestle sells in India contains more sugar than its corresponding product in Europe. And in fact, the Patanjali Ayurved has also been publishing the false and misleading advertisements with respect to the COVID-19 cure. So all those things. So as a matter of fact, the Supreme Court has taken up all these issues which the fast moving consumer goods and they publishing these misleading and false or fake advertisements. So that is one such serious concern. However, India has been recording a surge in the non-communicable diseases also, because very often these non-communicable diseases are associated with the fast-moving consumer goods and their poor nutritional quality, which are categorized as junk food, and they are leading to the lifestyle diseases or non-communicable diseases. And in fact, one of the major factor behind these non-communicable diseases is easy availability of the ultra of processed foods. Okay, so a lower availability of the ultra or poor processed foods together with the sedentary lifestyles of the people. And in fact, manufacturers have also been known to include some vitamins, say in order to escape the scrutiny, but their product still junk. So even though the manufacturers of the junk food or fast moving consumer goods actually including some vitamins, so that the law enforcement agencies would feel that these goods actually have all the mineral content and that could easily escape the scrutiny from the law enforcement agencies. Even though they have been adding certain vitamins and minerals, still they are considered or they are categorized as junk food, and they have been playing a key role in harming the health of the people. Here, the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India has a major responsibility with respect to preventing the adulterated food or junk food or poor quality food being sold in the market. And it has actually specified the permissible threshold of ingredients in various food products. Yet, it is infamously reluctant to pull up the errant manufacturers, because it has also been suffering with a lot of challenges and a lot of issues that include it is understaffed and it is also under-equipped and underfunded, and that has been further weakening this particular organization, and the responsibilities of the organizations are also being compromised because of the existing shortcomings within the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. And the fast moving consumer goods marketing should actually be subject to prompt enforcement, and timely action must be taken in case they provide or they release false and misleading advertisements. And in the absence of responsible proliferation. So its absence is responsible for actually proliferation of these false or misleading advertisements from the fast moving consumer goods about the nourishment of the foods. So therefore, in this context, what we have to do, we must ensure the prompt enforcement and timely action against these fast moving consumer goods. And at the same time, we must ensure the nutritional standards, the nutritional requirements of all those foods, and we should also prevent the junk food entering into the food market, or ultra processed foods entering into the food market, because the young age people are actually vulnerable for the junk food, and it is also very often associated with the non-communicable diseases, so that could have a lot of negative implications. And here a quick exemplary action against the violators of standards and norms with respect to quality food is required, and the courts can actually take such an exemplary action against violators. However, here the author has also been talking about Supreme Court or any other court such as judiciary together should not encroach upon the legislative and executive power, and that is what is expected from the judiciary. But on the other hand, the legislature and executive must also fulfill their obligations, their duties and responsibilities. So all the details with respect to the Nestle India and higher sugar content in the baby food is actually provided in this slide. So please pause this slide and go through all the content. Okay, so that's all in this lecture, and the overall content PDF is actually provided in the description, and from description you can download so that particular presentation. And thank you so much. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and also hit the like button. We'll come with a new set of articles tomorrow. Thank you.